Greetings once again. My name, as you may be aware by now, is Diana Rondon, and this is my final video for Pasantías Preprofesionales 2, second bimester. In this video, I will explain how I would approach a 45-minute class for students in TER o Baccalaureate, tercero de bachillerato. That is, high school students with an intermediate level of fluency in English. By now, you are most likely familiar with the methodology I prefer to use during my lessons, which are task-based language learning, communicative language teaching, and community language learning. I will start the lesson by greeting the students, as usual, and talking about a popular movie using the target idioms to be learned during this lesson. Later, I will ask students if anything about my speech called their attention, and if any of them detect the idioms, try to tell me what they think they mean. I follow this with a warm-up activity, which consists of introducing a somewhat short video regarding idioms. The person in this video is an immigrant and he lives in Canada. During his video, he talks about how some expressions and phrases from the English language baffle and confuse me. Allow me to share my screen. Okay. I say this video for advanced students because the person in the video talks a bit fast. Now, as you can see, the video is very dynamic and it has a comedic air, a comedic approach to explaining what idioms are and their opinions on them. The animator starts the video with a funny skit. As you can see, he's making a pun about beating around the bush, literally animating it. Then he defines what idioms are, which is of particular use for my lesson. Then he goes on to talk about figures of speech, uh, what they do, what they help us do, and which what they help us do. Idioms help us explain our feelings in a more colorful ways. And in the video, he also explains the origins of the expressions. Like for example, here he's talking about raining cats and dogs, what this expression even means. And he explains that if people talk about heavy objects, he would understand the idiom, the expressions, but okay. Um, Another example, turning a blind eye. He also used funny videos from around the internet to explain what and how idioms are used. Allow me to stop sharing my screen. Okay. After catching the students' attention and motivating them through a funny video, I proceed to ask the students what clues in context they use to understand some of the used idioms or figures of speech presented to them. With the warm-ups out of the way, I explain the objectives of the lesson and proceed to present the idioms to be used during this lesson with the help of, you guessed it, the link. Sharing my screen once more. Mhm. Okay, here we have the idioms. We have go overboard, come up with, in a nutshell, few and far between, and by far. Uh, as you know, in Team Link, you have the image, and then you pass your cursor over the icon to have it displayed a bit of information. Stop sharing my screen. Okay, that's with the introduction done, I ask students to establish a conversation while trying to make use of the previously mentioned idioms. I close the lesson by talking about a movie, reviewing it while using the idioms introduced. In modeling, I introduce key vocabulary and phrases through activities related to movies the students might enjoy or have heard about. This allows the students to have meaningful interactions in the target language, since the teacher is using materials that helps them stay engaged in the class. For guided practice, the students work in pairs to discuss a movie and use the idioms learned in the lesson to sound more natural and to help the conversation flow better. For independent practice, the students work on writing a movie review that makes use of the idioms learned during the lesson. For assessment, I ask the students to try to explain what this or that idiom means. Finally, for homework, I ask the students to write a short movie review using the learned idioms or colloquial phrases. And there you have it, my final video. As you can see from my lessons, I try to pay special attention to speaking and listening. And the speaking and listening skills are often forgotten in the curriculum in favor of vocabulary and writing. That is not to say that those features of the language don't have their place. Rather, they have been given excessive attention, which has led to the neglect of the other aspects of the language. Encouraging communication rather than pointing out every little mistake in the student's attempt to communicate helps the student feel a bit more at ease during speaking activities. Another common aspects of my lessons are the use of colorful materials. That is because being a student, I remember having to use books with sterile black and white illustrations and teachers that only use the blackboard and chalk to guide the lesson. In the forums in the EVA, we have discussed at length about the importance and the correct use of didactic and supplementary materials, so I will not dwell further into it here. Suffice it to say that I try to use my supplementary materials and didactic materials as a means to increase motivation and try to have the materials leave a positive impression in the learner. And that is all for my videos. I hope you have enjoyed them. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.